If you struggle with overpacking, or you're sick of playing suitcase Tetris or sitting on your carry-on just to zip it up, this video is for you. I've put together 17 smart, foolproof packing tips that'll instantly help you make more room in your carry-on without leaving anything important behind. But these aren't just random hacks. They're all part of a system I use on every trip. I call it the Jenga Method because just like the game, packing light is all about building a smart, stable structure where every piece fits for a reason. So let's break it down. Phase 1 is the foundation. First, you need to shift your mindset and your strategy. So it's not just about shrinking items, it's about packing only what earns its space in your bag. You really don't need as much clothing as you think you do. In fact, packing for a month-long trip shouldn't look too much different than packing for just 1 week. Number 1 is to pack outfits, not items. So to do this, you can use a visual method like a clothing grid or packing matrix to cut back on quantity. This is kind of my broken record tip, but it bears repeating because it works. Number 2 is my favorite trick for packing fewer clothes, which is building a mini capsule wardrobe. It is super flexible depending on the length of your trip, the climate, and your activities. All you have to do is follow this simple formula. You multiply the number of tops by the number of bottoms you're bringing, as long as every top goes with every bottom. And that's how many outfits you can create at the bare minimum. But the key is to always have more tops than bottoms. So for example, 4 tops and 3 bottoms that all go together gives you 12 outfits. Or you could take it a step further where you pack 6 tops and 4 bottoms and you can create 24 outfits from just 10 pieces. Then for number 3, stick to items that can be worn multiple times like breathable knits or merino wool. Layers give you flexibility without the bulk. But something really important to consider that many people overlook is wash frequency. So think about how often you can wear an item before having to wash it. Jeans are typically the enemy of light packers because they're bulky, but they're typically an article of clothing that can be worn multiple times without washing. And one more severely underrated tip before I move on to how you can physically save space in your carry-on is how important it is to actually want to pack lighter. And part of that comes from enjoying the process. You need to find yourself a carry-on that makes you feel excited to use it. Because if you're gonna live out of this thing for days or weeks, it should spark a little joy and make you look forward to packing. I'll link some of my favorites below, and if you need to find a specific size of carry-on that will fit on a certain airline, check out the link to my free spreadsheet database for that. Moving on to phase 2, which is build with intention. This is the cube compression and configuration phase. You're only as good as your tools. Number 6 is to use compression cubes. These are truly a non-negotiable for me. This is my favorite set, which is from Tripped, and I'm so happy to partner with them again as the sponsor of today's video. These cubes were designed specifically to fit inside a carry-on, and they compress beautifully. Inside this set, there are 2 large sizes, 2 small sizes, a laundry bag, and a sleeve, which is so multi-purpose. You can use socks in here, underwear, swimsuits. I've put shoes in here. You can also use it for hair tools and makeup brushes. Also, they put handles on these, which is so smart. This comes in clutch so much more than you think it actually would. And as I said, they are compression, so once you have them packed, you can squeeze them down even further to suck everything together and create more space. But it's not just about using these cubes, it's more about how you use them. So you need to make sure you're using them to the fullest extent because they can be used in all kinds of different ways. So let's talk about packing them. For tip number 7, I like to use what I call the Jenga method for packing the cubes. So what you do here is you lay your items flat, and then as you pack them in the cube, you alternate the direction as you stack them, almost like building a Jenga tower. This evens everything out and prevents all the folds from bunching up in the same spot and creates a more balanced shape. Another option is to try the 2-tier packing method. For this, you place your base layers flat on the bottom of the cube and then roll your softest items on top. This also gives you structure and flexibility in your cube. I also want to show you how you could take 6 tops and 4 bottoms, so 10 pieces, to technically make 64 outfits. Now, that's going to be a lot of repeating, So at the very least, you could take this amount of clothing and make a 14-day outfit plan, and that would include 0 repeats, mixing tops, bottoms, and layers in new ways each day. As a bonus tip, I'm going to show you how I fold all 10 pieces to fit into just one of the large-sized tripped packing cubes. For this, I lay out the cube vertically in line with where I'm standing, and then take each item of clothing and line it up with the width of the cube, and then fold it accordingly to that size. Then I follow kind of a Marie Kondo style where I fold it into a tight brick. So not necessarily rolling or folding, but a bit of a hybrid. Then I stack each piece into the cube. This works with any type of clothing, t-shirts, cardigans, pants, just as long as you line it up to match the width of the cube, and then you just have to get a little creative with sleeves or oddly shaped pieces. Once I have a few bricks in, I slide them to the back of the cube and then keep adding in more bricks of clothing and push them in as I go. For jeans, what I do is bring the ends up to the crotch area to start my fold into the brick shape. I also find it works best to wedge the jeans in once most other soft items are packed, because those squish a lot easier than doing it the other way around. So now I've got 8 pieces added to this cube, and I saved 2 of the lighter layers to sneak into the open spaces. And there you have it, all 10 pieces of clothing into just one cube. Stay tuned to the end of the video where I'll show you how these cubes fit into different size carry-ons. Here's something people don't talk about enough: playing Tetris with your cubes. Most people default to laying the cubes flat beside one another. What you can do is try standing them upright or mixing compressed and non-compressed cubes to better fill your bag. So for tip number 10, you can mix and match cube shapes and sizes. Sometimes I compress one cube and leave another loose, and that helps me fit shoes or chargers or snacks in the open spaces between. And since we're talking about space-saving gear from Tripped, their hanging toiletry bag is another must-have. It can hang from almost anywhere, which is so nice when you check into a hotel with almost 0 counter space. But even if you do have counter space, I like hanging it because it gives you access to all 4 sections without having to rifle through everything in one main compartment. In the same set, it also comes with this clear TSA-friendly liquids pouch, or if you're going on a shorter trip or just don't have that many liquids, you can even detach this pouch here. And then you can pack this flat as is if that's the only space that you have, or you can fold it up. Again, it's all about playing Tetris or Jenga. Also, as a quick side note, I recently met some of the team from Tripped, and they're just the nicest, sweetest people. So you can buy their gear directly from their website if you'd prefer to buy from a small family-run company instead of Amazon. If you're outside of the US though, you still have to order from Amazon. Either way, you'll find all the links in the description below, or scan the different QR codes depending where you're from. Now let's move on to phase 3, which is balancing the stack. This is the space making and editing phase. One of my most effective packing habits is tip number 11, which is to pack at least one day, ideally 2 days before your trip. This does multiple things. First, it gives you time to edit. With some time away and fresh eyes, you'll likely realize that you don't need maybe that third dress or an extra pair of sandals. And secondly, if you're packing at the very last minute or you're in a rush, you are so much more likely to throw in way more than you need because you don't have time to be logical. And for tip number 13, overnight your things will compress naturally, and that little bit of settling might give you just enough extra space for something else, or better yet, leave you with some wiggle room. Tip number 14 is if you're planning to bring home souvenirs, this is where you can use the dirty duffel trick. Pack yourself a flat, lightweight duffel bag. Then on the way home, all you do is fill this up with your dirty laundry. And what you'll do is you're gonna check this and then use your carry-on for your souvenirs and your more important or valuable items. Phase 4 is strengthening the structure. This is your secret weapon for packing less. So tip number 15 is to be open to doing a little bit of laundry. Now, washing is easy, it's the drying that takes time, so I have a trick for that. But socks and undies are easy to wash in the sink every 2 or 3 or 4 days. For bigger items, a bathtub works great, and if there's no tub, you can wash your items while you shower. Just step on your clothes to act as an agitator. Tip number 16 is about soap. So you can bring laundry detergent sheets, which don't count as a liquid, and they're flat and lightweight. Or you can pack multi-purpose soap, something like Dr. Bronner's Castile soap, which also doubles as body wash and shampoo. So you're not packing anything extra. Tip number 17 is for drying your clothes. So what you do for this is pack a compact microfiber towel. It's lightweight and super absorbent. And then what you do is lay the clothes inside, roll it up, and twist as tightly as you can. You can use a hotel towel if you need, but microfiber is faster and dries quickly. Phase number 5 is called Keep It Standing. The beauty of the Jenga method is that it's repeatable. Every trip, you'll tweak it, you'll pack lighter, and you'll travel smarter. If you want to follow this system next time you pack, I've made a 1-page printable that walks you through the whole Jenga method. You can grab it for free in the description or scan the QR code. Now, I want to show you how these packing cubes fit into different carry-ons that I use. In the monos, I would fill the space between the trolley handles with either small soft items or oddly shaped items like hair tools. And then you place the cubes over top. As you can see, this is the cube with all of my clothes that I would need for a 2-week trip. That leaves all kinds of room for pajamas, socks and underwear, swimsuits, toiletries, shoes, or other accessories. With the compression pad, it zips up with ease. But then I also stuffed the other packing cubes to show you what it looks like. This is the aluminum carry-on by level 8 called the Gibraltar. I don't talk about this one a lot because it is expensive and a little heavy, but it is zipperless and it looks really nice, and it's one of my favorites in terms of interior space, especially for using cubes. So with the 2 large cubes jam-packed, that takes up one side, and then there's still half of the other side not being used with the smaller cubes full as well. Again, this suitcase closes with ease, and the beauty of it being aluminum and briefcase style is that you can push it to the limit without worrying about a zipper failing. Next is the Samsonite Le Peau bag that I recently reviewed. This one is a little smaller compared to the first 2 because it's designed for smaller international airlines. I was able to fit the large cube with all 10 outfits, plus one of the smaller cubes where you would have socks, underwears, and a swimsuit maybe. And that allowed for room on the side for toiletries and other items. There was also plenty of room left over to layer several flat items since there was empty space when I closed the bag. Finally, the Brix X Spinner. I recently brought this on a 2-week trip in Arizona using 2 large cubes, 1 small cube, and 2 sleeves, plus my toiletry bag. I also used this bag for traveling through Portugal for 2 weeks. Again, this can fit all 4 cubes with room in between and space for a toiletry bag, as well as a little more room in the flat zippered pockets. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.